Good day. My name is Chanel Mudley and my student number is 192814. Today, myself and my group members will delve into the remarkable life and legacy of a man who played a valuable role in the history of South Africa and the world, F.W. de Klerk. From his early life to his presidency, we will explore how this leader worked hard to bridge the gap during a critical period of the country. Join us as we uncover the story of a leader who championed change, reconciliation, and dismantled apartheid. Welcome to our journey into the life and times of F.W. de Klerk.
Good morning, lecturers. My name is Anel Laura van Wyk. My student number is DL23822. In an interview conducted by Jeff Cunningham, the former president, F.W. de Klerk, stated that bringing about the new change of a democratic South Africa was one of the most challenging ordeals he had faced. He added that what was more challenging was taking the majority of whites with him. And in the old system, this meant taking all the power and handing it over to a new constitutional state. And as president, Mr. de Klerk committed himself to speeding up the transformational process begun by his predecessors and to start talks about a new post-apartheid constitution with representatives of what were then the country's four designated race groups: whites, blacks, coloreds, and Indians. What makes him more deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize was the fact that he was associated with the conservation wing of the National Party. He was active in Afrikaner nationalist organization from a very young age, before joining apartheid parliament in the early 1970s. De Klerk's political career confirms his commitment to apartheid. However, he did come to a realization that apartheid was doing the country unjust. However, despite his involvement and commitment to apartheid, Mr. F.W. de Klerk worked alongside Nelson Mandela to create a better South Africa for all races. They worked together, they negotiated, and even disagreed. But all that aside, they became the two that created a better nation for all. These were honorable acts, and acts more than deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize.
Good day. My name is Melinda Francis. My student number is 204998. Today I'm going to speak to you about F.W. de Klerk's Nobel Prize story. We look at his personal transformation from somebody that was for apartheid to somebody that realized and recognized that we need reconciliation in our country. In 1989, when he was elected president, South Africa saw a turning point in our country's history. A turning point where he actually unbanned anti-apartheid organizations like the ANC. This saw the release of Nelson Mandela after 27 years in prison. And this saw what can happen when leaders choose to communicate and to fight for peace instead of war. His commitment to peace was further shown by all the negotiations that led up to the end of the apartheid regime. This commitment was not only seen by South Africa, but was recognized worldwide. In 1993, he, together with Nelson Mandela, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. This accolade was a result of them showing and continuing a peaceful transition in South Africa, ending the apartheid regime. His recognition with this Nobel Peace Prize did not only acknowledge his look and need for reconciliation, but it also teaches us that one can transcend their past and work together to build a brighter future. His story serves as an important reminder of the changing powers of leadership and the impact that it can have in resolving deep-seated conflicts. Thank you.
Evening, I'm Ashley Cook. My student number is 202866, and my part of this project is evolved around explaining the turning point of the apartheid and F.W. de Klerk's role in that. So, at the time, the apartheid was facing a lot of pressure from international, from internally and economic challenges. So there was a lot of pressure on the apartheid by the late 1980s, and it became clear that something had to change, that the ways of the apartheid was not sustainable and couldn't go forward like this. So F.W. de Klerk, he was our president from 1989 to 1994. He made some very bold decisions that changed the course of history. So he chose to release Nelson Mandela from prison in 1990, and he unbanned a whole bunch of anti-apartheid organizations. And that signaled to everyone that there was definitely a change coming. There was a turn, and there was an aim and a goal to end apartheid. So F.W. de Klerk, he was working with the ANC, with negotiations. So these negotiations were called CODESA, and the point of them was to establish a democratic, multiracial South Africa, peacefully. So the goal was not to let it become violent, because it could have easily become civil war. So in 1993, due to his efforts and his role in turning the apartheid around, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, along with Nelson Mandela. And this acknowledged their efforts and their bold decisions and their bravery in making a stance and being able to change the course of history for South Africa, which was much, much, much needed. So now we've got a legacy of peaceful transition. Hopefully it stays peaceful, of our transition of South Africa from apartheid to post-apartheid South Africa. And helping the nation move forward. So F.W. de Klerk definitely had a big, big role in changing the course of the apartheid, and I think that his Nobel Peace Prize is well deserved.